anomalies that are not typical behavior of an endpoint. This goes back to like physical security. If you want to know how to like secure an area, you don't necessarily like stare at every single person in that area and look for the bad guy or the bad gal or whoever. You look for someone who's acting in a way that doesn't fit the model, and you got to be aware of that behavior.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Incident Report presented by Quest Technology Management. I'm Paul Burke, Director of Technology Communications. Every week, I'm joined by VP of Sales and Partnerships, Adam Burke. The Incident Report brings you conversations with thought leaders, business innovators, and channel mavericks to help you stay productive and agile in a changing technology landscape. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Incident Report. This is episode 51. We're coming to the end of March. Years flying by. I'm a co-host. Adam Burke is my co-host sitting across from me. Adam, how you doing?
Happy to be here, Paul. Ready to rock. Excited today as we're closing out the month of March. It's been an exciting month.
Have you had a good weekend?
I had a good weekend. Yeah, it was mellow, not a ton going on. Definitely better than last weekend with random bank failures and some shenanigans going on in that world. But yeah, better weekend this weekend, that's for sure.
Nice. I went to a food and wine pairing, and there were some musicians there, and they were amazing. And he started playing Mario Brothers theme song, and I think mine was the only head that turned. Oh, Mario Brothers. He said he's open to requests, so I went up and said, "Hey, could you do, Zelda, or could you do Halo?" Adam, the man whips out a mandolin and does some Halo opening credits. That's impressive.
Nice. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like the spread there. You got a Nintendo 64, Legend of Zelda. You got a little Xbox Halo action going on there. No Mortal Kombat.
Oh, that would have been a good idea. No,
Probably didn't have a synthesizer there, so that's rough to do Mortal Kombat without a synthesizer.
yeah.
So I learned some interesting information this weekend. If we're sharing, if we're doing a little share.
It's show and tell, Adam.
I was given a cold brew situation where you make cold brew. It takes about 12 hours and you make cold brew. And come to find out, after reading the instructions a couple times after using it, you're not supposed to just drink the coffee concentrate that comes from the cold brew. You're supposed to mix it with water. So I've been feeling great after this cold brew, but apparently that's considered the concentrate. And you're supposed to mix it with water or, if you're driving your Outback, oat milk or something. But I've just been kind of mainlining it, and it's been good.
So that concentrate you've been drinking, how many cups should that be making? Like you are drinking 12 cups of coffee at once?
My caffeine tolerance is relatively high, but we'll just say it's probably more than the daily recommended amount. Just having to slowly peel it back. The hands stopped shaking though yesterday afternoon, which is good. The tremors have subsided. So.
That's a life lesson. That I'm sure there's somebody else out there who just put down their cup of coffee thinking, "Oh no, that's what I'm drinking." So you probably saved some lives, Adam.
I try to, and I'm gonna leave my coffee brewing to the professionals as much as I can, because I've obviously am way over my skis on the cold brew concentrate situation. So,
all right, should we get into the stories?
Yes, I'm sure we've lost everyone by now.
Okay, well, for that one person who's still listening, get ready. It's just the three of us hanging out talking here. Channelfutures.com, what the Silicon Valley bank collapse means for the channel. One channel insider told Channel Futures, "My gut says this gives everybody in the already slumping economy a reason to hit the pause button." So, Adam, what are you seeing in the channel?
I still think it's kind of trickling out. I still think we're kind of in the first couple dominoes to fall here, so everyone's kind of sitting on their hands. The Silicon Valley Bank, it was funny. It happened on a Friday afternoon. It happened very quickly. The stock trading was halted, and then we went into the weekend. And it's amazing how cybersecurity specialists, network professionals, system analysts, system administrators, everyone becomes a financial regulatory expert in their off time as they're reading snippets of these articles and things. But at the high level, it definitely hit the pause button for a lot of people. We're seeing a little bit of people kind of looking back and figuring out what's going on, because basically there was a run on a bank that in the previous month was listed as one of the top 15 banks in the United States by Forbes, and also advertised pretty aggressively on CNBC as a safe organization. And I think it shook a lot of people up when all of a sudden that bank just completely collapsed in almost less than 24 hours. So I know enough to know that I know very little about what actually happened there other than what I read in the papers. So this article, I think, is just kind of giving a lot of people pause, and the situation is kind of getting everyone to look over their shoulders and take a quick look on where their money is being held.
So a couple things about SVB. Nearly 1,100 private equity and venture capital firms were storing their assets in Silicon Valley Bank. Some of the notable companies, Roku had money there. Roblox had 5% of its $3 billion cash in SVB. A lot of tech companies had money in there.
Yeah, and the best explanation that I've heard about this situation, and it was really, I mean, it was just a comedy of errors the way that this all went down. But basically, there's a high venture capital depositors within this bank, and we all know you look at some of these software as a service organizations, they have relatively high burn rates, and the burn rate is basically how much capital they're using to fund the business while they're trying to get to a net positive net cash flow standpoint. So they're burning money, investing, and trying to get new customers. Well, the economy slows down a little bit, right? Interest rates go up. So these banks, they're holding long-term, low interest rate paper. And the CEO comes out to the market before he's raised more funds and says to the market, hey, we had to sell about $12 billion worth of assets, and we're going to take this amount of write down. Basically, we're going to lose this amount of money by selling this paper to basically fund these VCs who are trying to withdraw their money to keep the burn rate going on their firms. Well, short sellers and the George Chanoses of the world and people out there who kind of know the banking industry they knew this was happening a long time ago, but they looked at those assets and they said, well, hey, if you're going to lose 12 billion on this sale, if you sell the rest of your book of all these low interest rates, if you sell those at current market rates right now, your losses exceed the value of your deposits. So the CEO of one of the top 15 banks in the United States failed Finance 101 by coming out and telling the market, we just took this loss on the sale of these assets and we're going to raise some capital. And then everyone they have to publish all their assets that they have. So all their investments that they have, if they were to have to liquidate all of that and mark those to market, their losses would exceed their deposits. He basically told everybody, him and the Goldman Sachs guys who took the purchase, basically told the market we're insolvent. And then there was a run on the bank, which forced the FDIC to come in and take over, protecting deposits. Where it gets really weird is you're insured up to $250,000, but like you just mentioned, there was some significant private equity and venture capital firms that kept their good amount of money in Silicon Valley Bank that far exceeded $250,000. Any small, medium-sized business is going to have more than $250,000 in cash in a bank. So for a couple of days there, they were pretty much SOL. So, but who knows what really happened? You never really do. That's what was publicly viewed. You got other stories out there about forcing the bank run in order to make the FDIC step in to ensure the deposits, all sorts of fun tinfoil hat scenarios there. But basically, long and short of it is, they completely blew up and FDIC had to come in and basically, backstop all the depositors.
Yeah. So if you're wearing a tinfoil hat right now, you are working overtime. This is your busy season to work on new theories.
If you're wearing a tinfoil hat, you've been busy for the last 3 years, but
that's true.
I digress. Yeah.
That's true. It's the golden age of tinfoil hats. I think we're coming out of the golden age of TV. We're moving into the golden age of tinfoil hats. The FDIC, in a joint statement with the Federal Reserve and Treasury Department, said they will protect all depositors, which that's a big infusion of cash. Like you said, Adam, there's a lot of deposits in there, which is way over 250. And I really enjoy this quote. The federal regulators said their, quote, decisive actions helped maintain confidence in the U.S. banking system. I love that they just kind of came out and said, like, listen, we did pretty great and we really helped the situation here. That was a nice little pat on the back for themselves.
What they're doing right now, basically ensuring all deposits in all the regional banks are getting in trouble right now because all the depositors are forcing their money into the too big to fail banks. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting for the next couple of days for sure. There's a lot going on. So just keep your head on a swivel as far as where the money is.
Yeah, and we'll stay on the story and see how it affects the channel.
One thing people are going to have to deal with, I think, is, I think credit availability to the channel. So if you're reliant on credit to fund operations or fund purchases or things like that, that could be a little tight for a little while, because a lot of banks, when uncertainty's out there, people are kind of holding on decisions, and there's not a lot of credit being provided to organizations. So if you have a credit dependent business, or if you need that access to capital in order to fund purchases or acquisitions or those types of things, it's getting a little tight right now. It's not extended pretty as easily as it used to be.
That's a great point. Check out the article, channelfutures.com. The link will be in the description. Adam, up next, HPE gets an AI-based IT management boost with OpsRamp Acquisition. The acquisition provides GreenLake with an AI and machine learning IT operations platform aimed at detecting, resolving IT service management issues with intelligent management and hybrid cloud monitoring. OpsRamp is considered one of the premier AI tools used by MSPs to automate IT service management.
It's interesting. I mean, so HP's, acquisition here is their integration, obviously integrating with their GreenLake platform and enabling more MSP kind of feel and tooling for this. So I think it's a big move. I think they're basically investing in this platform and this, we talk about all the time, this as a service delivery model. It's a good strategic partnership for them. It'll be interesting to see how it evolves. You put AI or Chat GPT, or everyone's kind of making their moves in the AI world. So we'll see how it goes. But it is interesting that this is an MSP tool that HPE is investing in, kind of seeing how they're going to approach the end user community with kind of an MSP feel to this service.
Does it feel like right now the name of the game is just snag an AI company? Like everybody is racing to get an AI company for some sense of security, some sense of, hey, we have AI as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a buzzword right now, and people are going to lose millions of dollars chasing AI concepts, but there are going to be some winners out there. So it's kind of one of those things where a large firm like HPE, they have to make their bet, right? And they have to figure out how they're going to integrate with multi-cloud. So everyone's trying to figure out, how am I going to take this as a service, this on-premise, this offsite, this data center? How are we going to tie all these things together? Just sounds like they're kind of their play for now.
I think it was interesting, a quote, I expect most of the mundane stuff we have been working on for the MSP tools for the past 15 years will be really automated with AI in the next 5 years. Is AI considered to be the solution for these mundane tasks, or are they hoping it's going to scale to more complex situations? Is that going to potentially be an issue for jobs? I know that's real crystal ball. I'm asking a lot right now, a lot of questions.
Well, before the whole COVID situation and the whole kind of world shut down for a little while, like everyone was worried about, I know everyone's talking about inflation right now, but everyone was worried about deflation and loss of jobs and basically automation replacing the workforce. We've seen this with virtualization. We saw this with hyperscale. We saw it with scaled platforms in the past, where automation around VMware, automation around replication, automation around creation of VM environments, and then now containers and applications, and everything kind of, it just keeps ratcheting up. Basically, the more organizations can automate tasks, the more efficient it can be. But also at the same time, that does cut into jobs and previous labor requirements and things like that. So it's double-edged sword. But yeah, it's definitely, people are going to have to continue to move up stack to be relevant from a ability to produce standpoint.
And I think also it's safe to say this is not a silver bullet for cybersecurity. AI isn't a silver bullet.
No, I mean, it can be manipulated just like anything else, right? It's, at the end of the day, it's a lot of what people call AI is, if then type of modeling, right? So if this happens, then do this. That's one model of what people are saying is AI, and that's really kind of like a script-based computer version of choose your own adventure. But yeah, no, that can be manipulated just like anything else.
Yeah, just like the books, you can manipulate those choose your own adventure books all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you choose the wrong path, you end up in a shark pit or something. I don't know. Those are great books, but you always have to go back and reread them.
Adam, I was always being bitten by some snake. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Next story, channel company is Zero Trust is a huge security opportunity. It also means heartburn for some MSPs. So Zero Trust is something that we're going to have to learn to adapt to 100% when MSP tells CRN it's coming. So depending on what type of solution provider you are and what type of cybersecurity expertise you bring, Zero Trust is a massive growth opportunity or a source of additional pressure due to the steep learning curve? And for many in the channel, it's probably both. What do you think of the article?
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, it's a change. It's a framework. There's a great book like Who Moved My Cheese, and if you haven't read it, definitely read it. But the cheese is constantly moving in the MSP world with frameworks, different regulations, and zero trust is just another version of that, kind of the always remote, never trusted concept, how people are accessing their applications, how MSPs are supporting that access. You'd love to set it and forget it. Everyone would love to just kind of get things in place and no one touched anything, it's working, let's keep things going. But that's that's not reality in IT world or in the MSP world. Everything's are always changing, and zero trust has been an architecture that has been talked about for years now, and solutions and products are moving forward with that path, and customers are requiring MSPs to help them execute on it.
So do you think it's the remote work and all the ransomware which has kind of caused the adoption of zero trust? Because a survey by the Cloud Security Alliance last year found that just about every IT and security professional, 94%, reported that they were in the midst of implementing a zero trust strategy, and 77% plan to increase their spending over the next year. Why the adoption so quick?
I think it's a lot of what's being communicated out to the market around the necessity for a zero trust framework. The idea of, hey, what got you here previously, you can't continue that same method. Like every time there's an exploit for people who aren't using, an always remote, never trusted or validated kind of zero trust framework, you can only get hit so many times before you have to say, okay, we're doing something about this. So 94%, IT and security professionals reporting that they're in the midst of implementing zero trust strategy. That's great. You're never going to be done with that. Like you're never going to get to the finish line, because once you do, there's going to be a new convenience or a new added service or a new offering, and you're going to have to continue to implement that zero trust strategy. We're seeing it, it's layered multi-factor authentication, validating who you are, your credentials, least privileges. There's a ton of things to do to get that right. And I'd say a big percentage, those 94%, are on some level of that journey, but I doubt many of them are fully implemented.
Got it. Listen, Adam, I'll call myself out when I'm ignorant. I didn't know this. There's no single product or platform that can deliver zero trust today.
Yeah, it's a framework. It's a strategy. It's like saying, like there's no jujitsu move that makes you a black belt. There's no one, 5-finger death punch or whatever that makes you Kill Bill super ninja person. Like it doesn't, there's no one thing there's no silver, you said it earlier, there's no silver bullet.
Okay.
There's different layers of the framework that help you get there. It's a lot. So ZTNA, we jumped on board ZTNA 3 years ago, right? We partnered with an organization. Actually, they just recently got acquired by HPE, so that's great. ZTNA is part of this zero trust network access, right? So some people think it's more secure than VPN. There's still a lot of VPN out there. There's a lot of cloud-based connectors. There's CASB solutions. There's all sorts of different ways people can connect to their SaaS applications and to their on-premise network. It's really just how are you layering that? And ZTNA is one piece of it.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you very much. I appreciate a little Kill Bill reference. Adam, how does the channel fit into zero trust?
The channel is going to help communicate it, right? So like we saw with unified communications, like we saw with SD-WAN, like we saw with, managed backups, someone's got to be out there telling the story. And then you got to bring in the people who can help implement it, right? So tell the story. Why does this matter? Why do people care? Is this just another marketing buzzword that Gartner's going to create a new magic quadrant and charge people to be a part of it? Or is this actually something that's going to help people's business? And zero trust from a framework standpoint is something that's been talked about for a very long time. Some people used to call it always remote, never trusted. It's basically the idea that you have to continually prove you are who you say you are, and you have privilege to access the data that you're trying to access. It's the opposite of the whole protecting the edge and have a castle, and then once you're in the castle, you're free. You have freedom of movement. No. You're constantly going through checkpoints at all times. You're never trusted.
Moats on moats on moats.
Yeah, constantly, always. It's like, so one of the reasons we liked endpoint protection and anomaly-based antivirus. We were an early adopter. Quest was an early adopter, and next generation AV, right? So we managed thousands and thousands of endpoints. And one of the
Mm.
reasons we are successfully helping people manage their endpoints is we kind of invested in the next generation software that was anomaly-based detection, basically meaning that we're not looking for a signature that's been documented previously. We're looking for anomalies that are not typical behavior of an endpoint. And this goes back to like physical security. If you want to know how to like secure an area, you don't necessarily like stare at every single person in that area and look for the bad guy or the bad gal or whoever. You look for someone who's acting in a way that doesn't fit the model, and you got to be aware of that, very aware of that, that behavior. You can go back and look at all sorts of security footage and things like that, and you can look at behavior of people when they're about to do something nefarious. Most of them you can tell like, hey, there's something off with that person in this scenario. It's the same concept for software. It's the same concept for ZTNA or zero trust. You have a courtyard of applications or people or computers. I don't trust any of them, but how do you act? There's so much data. How do you actually find what's going on? You find the anomalous behavior, and you're always looking for that signal.
You're looking for that tell. It's a game of poker. You're looking for that tell, something to signal there's trouble.
Yeah, and it's cat and mouse. People, the bad actors are always trying to mask, what they're doing, right? They're always trying to mask, like, no, this person fits in, or this environment, or that, you pretend to be part of the crowd or blend in, that type of a thing. But that's why your security professionals are always training, and the bad guys are always training, and then it's kind of a never-ending game.
Adam, I'm curious, is there some sort of expo, some sort of place I can go where I could learn more about this and other things happening in the channel?
Fantastic question, Paul. And yes, there is. So Quest is going to be at Channel Partners in Las Vegas this May 1st through the 4th. We're super excited about it. We're going to be at booth 202, and we're giving some training around opportunities to check in with your customers about their cybersecurity goals and objectives, and really kind of having these candid conversations. And we do some great training at booth 202. We're going to be there for the entire show. The entire channel team is going to be there. They're really excited about it. So if you want to check out our itinerary or any of that type of information, please check out the show notes. We have our Quest partner portal. We're going to be updating it with information about channel partners.
Adam, real quick, I'm getting Darcy, our producer, flailing wildly on the call here, needing corrections. It's booth 2002.
I said 2002. Didn't I say 2002?
Adam, don't you dare gaslight me. You said you've been saying 202 this whole time, sir. It's 2002.
202. Long O.
I'm sure 202. Very nice people at 202, but we're 2002.
2002. Okay, so please join us at booth 2002. I don't even think there is a 202, and if there is, they can pound sand. But we are at booth 2002, and you can join us to learn about all these great topics. And I promise not to be as caffeinated as I am now at Channel Partners, May 1st through the 4th. I'm really excited about that show.
Adam, people can't blame you. People know you're a man who loves talking zero tolerance, AI, and Silicon Valley Bank. Adam, that's your hat trick of topics that you love talking about. You can't get enough of this stuff.
It's fantastic. It's great. We talk a little financial regulation, a little economic disaster, and some zero trust. What could go wrong?
This episode had it all. Of course, it only had it all for one person, that one person who's still stuck around to listen. So thank you, whoever you are. Adam, anything coming up this week that you want to share, let people know about?
We're here to help. If anyone wants to chat about it, we got more and more. We actually have some cool things coming out for the channel. So always check our partner portal if you want to kind of see the latest and greatest, as well as our scheduled events coming up. Excited about what's going on, Paul. It's a fun time to be in IT for sure.
It's a great time. Also, I speak for Adam. If you have cold brew suggestions, let us know in the comments what your favorite cold brew is. Help this poor man who's looking for just a cold coffee, caffeine beverage. Thank you so much for joining us. Adam, thanks for joining us, sharing all your thoughts. Always appreciated. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good week.
Thanks so much for listening. The Incident Report is brought to you by Quest Technology Management. With over 40 years of experience, Quest is a leading technology integrator working seamlessly with your staff and systems to achieve your IT goals. Learn more about everything they do at questsys.com. And if you have questions or suggestions for the podcast, you can always email Adam and myself at theincidentreport@questsys.com. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time.